The sun beat down on the cracked earth of Chestnut Grove, a small town nestled between forgotten hills and aging highways. The land was dry and worn, just like the memories that clung to its dusty air. In the middle of it, kneeling by a row of withered tomato plants, was a woman in a faded Navy uniform. Commander Alina Rowe, a 36-year-old retired logistics officer, had returned home after 2 decades of service. Few remembered her. Her uniform, once crisp and proud, was now worn out, used, out of necessity, not ceremony. She had inherited her late father's broken-down farm and worked it alone. No crew, no funding, just grit and silence. As she dragged a rusted watering can to a vine barely clinging to life, an old pickup truck drove by. A child in the back pointed, "Mom, why is that soldier working on a farm?" The mother smiled gently. "Because that's what strong people do." By evening, whispers had spread from the diner to the post office. A Navy woman was farming solo. Some admired her, others just watched. Miles away, in a black SUV headed to a veteran town hall, President Donald Trump flipped through briefing notes. A blurry roadside photo caught his attention. It was Alina, crouched in her field. "Where was this taken?" he asked. "Chestnut Grove, sir. We rerouted past it." He stared out the window for a beat. Then he surprised everyone. "Let's go there. I want to meet her." Alina, wiping sweat from her brow, glanced at the cloud-heavy sky. Rain seemed possible, but hope was scarce. As she headed to the barn, a low rumble echoed down the gravel road. Not the usual tractors. These were black SUVs flanked by police motorcycles and dark vans. She froze. Sheriff Carla Mendes and Da'u, old classmate, stepped out. "Alina, you'll want to stand up straight." Before she could reply, the lead SUV door opened. President Trump stepped out, scanning the humble farm, the cracked barn, and the woman standing tall in the dust. "You're the one in the photo," he said, extending his hand. "Commander Rowe, right?" Alina blinked, caught off guard. "Yes, sir. But why are you here?" "They told me I'd be meeting veterans in a hall, but I'd rather meet one in the field, literally." Behind him, aides murmured and cameras clicked. Trump ignored them. "You served your country. Now you're serving your land. That matters." Alina hesitated, then shook his hand. In an instant, her quiet world became the nation's stage. She stood straighter, her voice steady but modest. "Mr. President, I'm just doing what has to be done." Trump asked how long she'd been alone on the farm. "Almost 2 years," she said. "Since Dad died. No family." The VA paperwork stalled. Trump's brow furrowed. "You gave 2 decades to the Navy, and this is what you came home to?" "It's home," she answered simply. A crowd began, forming near the fence. Neighbors, students, reporters. Sheriff Mendes spoke up. "She won't say it, but Alina rerouted supply lines under fire, saved lives, got a medal. But no one here ever asked." Trump turned to his team. "Why didn't I hear about her before today?" They had no reply. Alina looked away, uneasy. "I didn't want attention. Just water for the crops." Trump paused. You deserve more than that. And in that moment, he made a decision. This wasn't just a handshake visit. This was the beginning of something bigger. News spread fast. Photos of Trump beside Alina flooded the internet. News vans arrived. Locals speculated, maybe a monument, maybe veteran funding. Alina stayed, focused on her chores. She didn't want interviews, she wanted irrigation. At an emergency town meeting, Mayor Jenkins called it an opportunity. Chestnut Grove's been fading. This could bring it back. Some were skeptical. He's using her, a councilman muttered. Sheriff Mendes stood up. Even if he is, she still deserves this. Trump's staff stayed in town, surveying the land, talking with residents. Then a box appeared at Alina's gate. Inside was a handwritten letter. Commander Rowe, your story moved me. I'm sending engineers tomorrow. This land will thrive again. Donald J. Trump. The next morning, trucks arrived, bulldozers, irrigation rigs, solar panels. It wasn't a monument. It was a rebuild. Workers measured fields, restored the barn roof, installed new irrigation. Alina tried to object. You can't spend this on me. One aide replied, You're not just a veteran. You're a symbol of forgotten service. By midday, teens were digging trenches. Elderly vets brought sandwiches. Even critics began helping. One man, Gus, said, I came back from Nam and no one noticed. This means something. Alina nodded, tearful. You were never forgotten. Later, Trump returned for a small press conference. This isn't about one woman, he said. It's about every veteran who came home to struggle. Commander Rowe came back and kept serving. That's what we honor, not just with words, but with action. Then, a worker unearthed a rusted box while digging. Inside were maps, documents, and a letter sealed in wax addressed to President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Alina recognized the handwriting. It was her grandfather's. The letter, dated 1944, read, If this land survives me, let it serve again. Not all heroes wear medals. Some plow the earth so others may eat. May this land never be forgotten. Tears streamed down her face. She'd never met her grandfather, but now his voice echoed through time. The letter was authenticated and became national news. Navy Commander finds WP letter during farm restoration. Veterans across the country shared their own stories. Hashtags like Aj Honor, the Home Front, and Rowe Legacy trended. At a press event, Trump held up the letter. This is more than a rebuild, it's a revival. Her family gave everything. It's time. We give back. Universities invited Alina to speak. She declined most, staying grounded on her land. One evening, holding her grandfather's letter, she whispered, You weren't asking for fame, just to be remembered. And then, the skies finally opened. Rain fell for the first time in weeks. Alina stood in it, arms outstretched, the farm soaking it in like a blessing. Volunteers laughed and danced. Even Trump's team stood in awe. In the diner that night, people said, First Trump, then the letter, and now the rain. It's like the land woke up. Sheriff Mendes smiled. Feels like hope's coming back, drop by drop. Alina framed her grandfather's letter and hung it in the kitchen. Every time she passed, she felt less alone. Days later, the Secretary of Veterans Affairs called. Inspired by her, Trump proposed a pilot, the Veteran Homestead Revitalization Program. They wanted her name on it. "I didn't ask for this," she said. "Exactly," the secretary replied. "That's why it matters." Trump left for Washington, but promised to fund the program's expansion to 5 more towns. "Alina's voice will help us hear others like her," he said. Alina knew her farm would survive now, but something deeper had taken root. That night, she opened a journal and wrote, "Day 1 of something new. Maybe I'm not just farming. Maybe I'm planting change." Alina Rowe's movement continued to grow far beyond her homestead. The local school system introduced a new subject called Service Through Soil, combining agriculture, history, and patriotism to inspire students toward purpose and personal growth. At a public ceremony, the town's mayor presented Alina with a medal telling her, "You didn't just change your farm, you changed all of us." She realized then that healing isn't just personal, it can ripple across communities. What began as a quiet act of survival by one Navy officer had become a nationwide symbol of revival. After the ceremony, a young girl approached Alina with a drawing. It showed Alina in uniform, holding a sunflower and the American flag. "What's my superpower here?" Alina asked with a smile. The girl whispered, "You help people believe again." One night, Alina received a call from a distressed veteran named Joshua. He had been contemplating suicide after falling into homelessness and despair. After seeing Alina's story online, something compelled him to reach out. She stayed on the line for over 2 hours, listening and offering understanding. By the end of the call, he was still emotional, but calmer. "I just needed someone." "Who gets it?" he said. Alina acted quickly, connecting him with a veteran support center and arranging help. Within days, he was on a bus to one of the new veteran homesteads. Weeks later, he sent Alina a photo of himself holding a spade on a small patch of land. "Still shaky," he wrote, "but I'm planting hope like you said." That photo became her favorite, proof that a single act of compassion could change, even save, a life. On the first anniversary of her program's launch, Alina received a crate containing over 1,000 letters from all across the United States. Veterans, farmers, widows, teachers, and children wrote to her, sharing how her journey had inspired them. Some had reconciled with family, others had planted gardens in memory of loved ones, and many simply thanked her for not giving up. One letter from a teen named Marco stood out. His father had died by suicide after returning from war. Marco wrote, "I used to be angry, but now I plant trees for those who didn't make it. You helped me forgive." Alina carefully read each letter and eventually lined the walls of her barn with them, a living testament to the lives she'd helped touch. In a later speech, President Trump referenced those letters, saying, "Sometimes heroes don't wear medals. They carry shovels. Commander Rowe is proof of that." Alina didn't feel like a hero. She felt human, and maybe that, she thought, was the real strength. Winter arrived, and with it came a new beginning. Alina walked her land with Lily, a young veteran who had recently joined the homestead program. "This place saved me," Lily said. "Now I want to help others." Together, they launched a new vision, the Seed School, a training academy where veterans and civilians could learn to farm, build community, and heal. Backed by private donors and Trump's initiative, the school would become a model for other states. Alina knew she wouldn't always be the center of the story, nor did she want to be. Her goal was to plant seeds that would grow beyond her lifetime. Every porch talk, every field sown, every life touched was a seed. As she stood once more beneath the great oak where her grandfather's memorial lay, she whispered, "We did it, Grandpa. The war didn't win. We did." The wind rustled the branches gently, almost in response. Exactly 2 years after Trump first saw Alina tending her land in silence, the nation watched as a new ceremony unfolded in the Rose Garden. Standing at the podium, President Trump declared, "Today, we honor a woman who reminds us that service doesn't end with a salute. It begins with a shovel, a story, and a spark." He turned to Alina, who wore a simple blouse, dirt still under her nails. "For her extraordinary courage, vision, and compassion," he said, "I award Commander Alina Rowe the Presidential Medal of Freedom." The crowd erupted in applause. As she stepped forward to accept the medal, her eyes shimmered. But her words were humble. "I didn't do this alone," she said. "I walked land my grandfather planted. I leaned on fellow veterans who wouldn't be forgotten, and I was seen by a president who believed healing could grow from the soil, up." Then she turned to the camera. "To anyone watching, if you're lost, hurting, or uncertain, go outside, touch the earth, talk to someone, plant one thing, just one. That's how it starts." Her voice trembled, but she continued, "Because sometimes the smallest seed is all it takes."